Back in the days before the rise of the gastropub, which is basically any point before the late 1990s, the choice of food available in your average local British boozer was usually rather limited. If you were lucky, you could buy a limp sandwich or a meat pie, perhaps a pickled egg or similar. And of course you could buy snacks, though these too were limited. Crisps came in the standard flavours of ready salted, salt and vinegar, cheese and onion, and maybe, if you were lucky, smoky bacon. And they were decidedly unexotic. No artisan producers back then, just the output of Smith's or Golden Wonder. And then there were the salted peanuts, of course, the king of beery accompaniments to this day. The market leader in pub nuts were Big D, which launched in 1967 and was operated by Trigon Snacks of Liverpool. The brand was notable as being, by and large, only available from pubs, bars and the like. You didn't usually find them in shops. Big D's selling point, beyond being pretty much all there was on offer for the pub patron with the munchies, was the display stands, which were designed to stand at the end of the bar and had the bags of salted peanuts covering a photo of a sexy woman, usually model Beverley Pilkington. The photos were often suggestive enough to hint at bare breasts behind the packets, and canny landlords would make sure that the bags were removed in such a way as to keep the naughty bits covered until the last minute, thus encouraging the lecherous drinker to buy more in the hope of a cheap thrill. This was the 1970s, so bare breasts were everywhere, but Big D knew the psychological pull of the tease and the insatiable lechery of the pub's primarily male clientele. In an age where entire websites exist to tut angrily at sexist real ale beer clips, beer names and smutty t-shirts at beer festivals, it's hard to imagine displays like this being tolerated now. But in the 1970s, Big D and the displays were at the height of their popularity, and assorted merchandise, mostly aimed at the pub trade as promotional items rather than the public, was produced, including various sets of playing cards. The nudie playing card has a long and noble history that perhaps we'll come back to in a future video once we figure out how to do it in a YouTube friendly way. But the Big D cards followed the display images by featuring Pilkington in skimpy, but not too skimpy outfits. These would be handed out to landlords by sales reps, and very few made their way into the sticky hands of customers, ensuring an immediate rarity. One of the main places that you might find topless or scantily clad glamour girl images during the 1970s was on the pin-up calendar, which used to be the mainstay of factories, offices and homes until they were redefined as sexual harassment and banished to the darkest corners of teenage boys' bedrooms. Big D started to produce calendars in 1977 as far as I can tell, but of course they were in competition with a lot of other, often raunchier versions. What they needed was a gimmick, something that boosted the appeal to the average pub goer of the time. So a Big D calendar that combined two predominantly male interests, sexy dolly birds and sport, was a no-brainer. The 1979 Sporting Nuts calendar saw a scantily clad Pilkington posing with various sporting heroes of the day. They included Henry Cooper, Eddie Kidd and Alex Hurricane Higgins, all looking suitably awkward. For members of the public to obtain the calendar, they had to collect tokens. Presumably a peanut purchase was also required in order to get a token, and attach them to a leaflet, a bit like loyalty cards or Green Shield stamps. And if you don't know what Green Shield stamps are, ask a pensioner. These leaflets came in a new display box that had none of the tease factor of the original displays, so the calendar offer must have been seen as enough of a come-on by itself. Outside the glitzy world of pub snacks, Beverley Pilkington was a popular glamour model in the 1970s, appearing on page 3 and gracing the covers of numerous LPs, including 4 Top of the Pops albums and a pair of related calendars. Originally hailing from Southend, she was something of a ubiquitous face of the 1970s. Notably, she didn't post topless, not even for page 3, which was unusual but not unknown at that time. She would turn up as a glamour girl and hostess on various TV shows, including the 1981 British Rock and Pop Awards, where she was the silent partner of octopus-handed Dave Lee Travis, and in 1975 she was the face and body of the Daily Mirror's Europe or Bust campaign during the referendum over EU, or EEC as it was back then, membership. We might note that the pro-Europe campaign won that one, so perhaps the Remain campaign of 2016 needed more glamour girls. She would become increasingly disillusioned with the glamour modelling scene, and perhaps aware that anyone working in that world has a limited shelf life, tried to shift into fashion and commercial modelling before fading entirely from the limelight at the start of the 1980s. She's developed a cult following of sorts in recent years, mostly for her work on the Top of the Pops LPs. The Big D displays ran through the 1970s and 1980s, but by the end of the latter decade were seen as a bit passé, as more women started to visit pubs without the accompaniment of a man and the idea of the family pub began to slowly take hold. The blokish nature of the boozer came under increasing criticism from moral Puritans on both sides of the political divide, and the Big D pin-ups would finally fall under the twin swords of radical feminism and neo-prudishness. The cards were phased out in the early 1990s, only to return in 2002 for the brand's 30th anniversary, featuring page 3 girl Ruth Hyam. The idea was to pique the interest of the 18 to 35-year-old male drinker, at a time when the lads' mags were still hugely popular and the snacking options available in most pubs had expanded considerably. It was a short-lived revival. By 2013, the Big D Babe, as she was now known, was dropped as the manufactured backlash against lad culture began to take hold. The magazines would not last much longer, with Nuts magazine, surely the spiritual bible of the Big D fan, biting the dust in 2014 and page 3 vanishing from the sun in 2015. To be fair, the crowning of glamour model Rosie Jones as the new Miss Big D in 2010 looks to be a painfully embarrassing affair all round, and very much the remnant of an idea that was looking very tired. You can still buy Big D nuts, of course, now available in all manner of exotic flavours including limited editions. These days every pub beyond the most basic will sell food and a variety of exotic snacks. Trying to get a standard flavour of crisp in a pub these days is almost impossible. The Big D pin-ups are now seen through the lens of nostalgia, time and distance, making them a harmless and kitsch memory of a different world. I wouldn't entirely rule out a return if public tastes once again change and our current era of prudishness slips out of fashion. But I'm not holding my breath. So did you ever buy packs of Big D nuts in the hope of uncovering Miss Pilkington's hidden charms? Or did you encounter other sexist promotional items in local pubs? I have the Tennent's Lager Lovelies lined up for a future video, so no need to tell me about them, but if there's anything else that we might be interested in, let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.